The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog and join the Progressive Army. And now, ladies and gentlemen,
you're now about to witness the truth.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Thursday, November 9th, 2017. Thanks so much for joining us. You could have been anywhere in the world, but always I appreciate the time that you come to spend with me here. We are live, so you can obviously call in 857-600-0518 if you want to weigh in on any of the discussions. A lot of interesting stories happening today. The things we're going to cover, let's just give it a quick rundown. Senate candidate, Republican senatorial candidate Roy Moore from Alabama is in a pretty tough spot tonight, in a problem of his own creation. At least that's what's according to 4 women between the ages of 14 and 18 who say that he initiated sexual contact with them, according to a Washington Post article. That's Roy Moore. There's a video that I tweeted out last night of a billionaire Democratic donor who flipped out because he's just so hurt that Democrats would talk about billionaires. We're going to play that video and dissect it a little bit. And then last but not least, Republicans are dropping like flies, man. They are leaving in droves, or at least signaling that they are leaving the Senate, the House of Representatives. Another one is down for the count today. So it should be interesting to see how this plays out as we go along. But you, as always, can weigh in on the conversation in the chat rooms on YouTube, in the chat rooms on Facebook, in the chat room on Twitter. Let us know what you're thinking. If you want to call in, 857-600-0518 is the number to dial. Let's begin. Roy Moore. If you don't know Roy Moore, I've covered him quite a few times here on this show. Roy Moore is the uber conservative Republican. And I think conservative at this point is not even a fair way to describe him, because I think at a certain point, it goes beyond the label of conservatism and it gets into you're a damn maniac. Yeah, I think that's the more accurate way to describe Roy Moore. He's a freaking maniac. And he presents himself as, somebody should do a study in waves. You have first wave democratization, second wave democratization, first wave feminism, second wave feminism. I think we're having a first, second, and third wave of Republican devolution. Not to get super philosophical or analytical, rather, not philosophical at all, but analytical. Not to get super analytical with it, but it is processual. It is a process. You started off with 2008, 2010, you started getting the first wave of Tea Party Republicans, but then they became normalized. The Ted Cruz and the Jeff Flakes, they became normalized, and they seem more, actually, we can go back further. You had your standard fare Republicans back with George W. Bush, and it took a while, George H.W. Bush, and it took a while before you got his son, which is a different breed of conservative, George W. Bush. But then all hell broke loose when Obama was elected, and you started getting Republicans like I mentioned already, Ted Cruz and Jeff Flake, to come to the Senate, and they came in separate years, but they kind of represent the same style of Tea Party Republican. The Marco Rubio came in 2010, right? And they came on the back of the Tea Party. And at the time, we thought that they were the most extreme Republicans and conservatives that we would ever have to deal with. And then lo and behold, you got the next wave. All right, there's a second wave. And right now it escapes me. I can't pinpoint any name. I'm sure you in the chat room already know who would be a good second wave. Someone elected, even if it was the House, right? House or the Senate. But then there was a second wave of Republican. I would say the second wave of Republican new age conservatives, if we started with Ted Cruz being the first wave, the second wave would have ended with Donald Trump. Can't think really right now off the top of my head who would have initiated it, like Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio did in 2010. But Donald Trump definitely represents the culmination of the second wave of idiocy from the devolution of conservatives. There's a third wave coming. There is a third wave coming. And if you thought Ted Cruz was crazy back in 2010, which we did, Marco Rubio particularly, and you thought Donald Trump was a madman, well, then now you have the Roy Moores and the Ed Gillespies, the people who go one step further. And what happens, what's dangerous about this every single time is what happens is that the previous set of Republicans become normalized. Because, partly because, you have Democrats on one side who are saying, oh, George Bush, if we could only have a George Bush, which is imbecilic. But at the same time, they become normalized because the next generation of conservatives are even more insane. And this is exactly the best way to set up who Roy Moore is and why we would even be talking about him, but then why he's uniquely different than even Donald Trump. It is possible to get worse than Donald Trump. And not Jeff Flake, but Roy Moore is that guy. He's running for Senate from Alabama. He believes, now he's been like this a long time. I know Donald Trump is just playing a character like he used to be a Democrat back when Roy Moore was a staunch conservative. But Roy Moore has been for a long time the type of Republican who can never get into a national office, save a few exceptions. He's worse than Jeff Sessions, even though he's running to replace Jeff Sessions. This guy believes that, there's a clip from, I think he was talking to Bill Moyers years ago. He believes that homosexual behavior, this is what he calls it. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Homosexual conduct should be illegal, right? It's not that he just thinks that homosexual conduct is a sin because of his religion. He thinks homosexual conduct should be illegal. Like, he is the quintessential, Roy Moore is the quintessential Christian Sharia law advocate, whatever. And he really believes that. He also has recently said that the First Amendment, in regard to the NFL protests, the First Amendment is only meant for Christians. Like, Ted Cruz is pretty bad. Ted Cruz is pretty horrible. I would never want to see Ted Cruz in the Senate, even though he's already there, and certainly would never want to see him in the White House. But I don't think that you're going to get him making the argument and trying to make the legal justification why Christianity is the only, Christians, or rather, are the only people who the First Amendment was designed for. And in the back of my mind, I know this is not the conversation, but in the back of my mind, I'm like, and somebody's probably still thinks there's no such thing as a lesser evil. I'm not going there today. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm not really talking about that right now. But the fact is, thanks, babe. The fact remains, this guy has lost his, I mean, if he ever had a mind, he lost it a long time ago. And he represents a new wave of Republicans that is one generation further and more extreme than even Donald Trump. All right, so that's the backdrop of who Roy Moore is, and he's running for Senate. He's in the lead. He's in the lead for the love of God. Like, he's really getting ready to be a senator. And today it came out on the Washington Post that in his 30s, he's in his 70s now, but in his 30s, back in the 1970s, he initiated sexual contact with underage girls. 14, 15, 16, 4 women have come up. And to be clear, the Washington Post made this clear that these women did not come out to the Washington Post. The Washington Post, one of the reporters on the ground there covering Roy Moore, heard rumors about some sexual behavior, inappropriate and illegal sexual behavior that has been lingering around Roy Moore for all of his career. And the Washington Post began to investigate further and further and further, and they finally found one of the individuals who said that, yes, Roy Moore, when she was 14, she met him in the courthouse, and he got her phone number, and eventually they took him out. He got her out, and initiated sexual contact with her. It doesn't claim any actual sex, but it does demonstrate coercion and the young woman feeling violated. I'm not sure what the laws were at the time, right? But certainly underage. And of course, he denies everything. He's on Twitter talking about it is just an attack from the Obama Clinton liberal machine. And it's the worst attacks he has ever had to face in his life, and etc., etc., etc. Of course, he's going to deny it all. But these women, I'm sorry. I want to be honest with you. This is a really, I have no inclination whatsoever to not believe what these women are saying. There's nothing in me, not besides the fact that I think Roy Moore in general is a disgusting human being, but just the frequency and with which, like, what do people say? What do I hear women say all the time? Believe women, believe them, believe them. I mean, so many people are being exposed, right? And this is obviously, I'm not making a logical argument here in the sense, you know, right? Just because it happens in so many other cases does not mean that it absolutely happened with him. But Roy Moore is a piece of crap. So it most likely happened with him. And I would err on the side of what the woman is saying in this, who was a child at the time. But so many cases are coming out of all these men just nonstop. And I have to take a pause and take an aside. I was wondering whether or not I was going to make tonight about sexual assault again, because it's insane. Oh my God. There's two types that I'm starting to see. You know, most of these guys that we're hearing from in Hollywood, it's a power thing. It's a power thing. It's a control thing. It's sadistic. It's wanting to inflict pain, emotional pain, physical, sexual pain, Louis C.K., on women and some young men, but predominantly women. And it's just like you had a suspicion that it was always there. You know, guys, right? Women didn't have suspicion. They had experience. But guys, we had a suspicion that it was always there because, you know, it just was always there. But now you're having case after case after case, proof after evidence. Harvey Weinstein tape where he's confessing to groping the model. You know, it's just case after case after case, and it's rather consistent and rather fitting that this is coming home to roost. These chickens are coming home to roost for a guy who runs around the country talking as though he is the most devout Christian that we've ever seen in our life. You know, and it never ceases to amaze me when I run into people who are so concerned about what you're doing in your bedroom that they end up being the worst. I mean, not just sexual deviancy, but like, you know, yeah, I mean, just the assault of children. So it's two different types. I mean, you have these religious fundamentalists who are so sexually repressed and trying to be something on the outside that they're not, that they end up doing all kinds of things. You know, there's so many skeletons in their closet, like literally sometimes in their closet, but they're so busy. Remember Jimmy Swaggart? I mean, I do an impression of him all the time because it's such a great example. I used to watch Jimmy Swaggart coming up, and I remember watching him when he got on television because he had hired a prostitute to, you know, have sex with a prostitute, and then he got exposed nationally. But I mean, dude, you spent all of your Sunday mornings telling people about their sexual behavior, right? And how they should do this and how they shouldn't do that. And then it turns out you're out here turning tricks. You know what I mean? You're out here picking up prostitutes, and then he gets on television and he, you know, and this is one of the problems with Christianity when it's in public, is that in society, is that, you know, it becomes an excuse because they've asked for forgiveness. Now everybody should just move on. You know, just because you got on television and said, I've sinned. I can't do it again. I do it all the damn time because it's so damn funny. I've sinned against you, God. You know, just because you do that doesn't mean, yeah, okay, God forgave you, but we aren't forgiving you. You know, forgiveness is for God. You still got to pay the piper down here, Roy Moore. And the amazing thing is that you're going to have quite a few conservatives who are going to still support him no matter what. They're still going to vote for this dude, and they're still going to vote for him based on the idea that he is a Christian and he has family values. You know what kind of family values he has? He has family values such that, according to the Washington Post, he's going to convince and get the confidence of your child's mother, of the mother, right? And tell her, oh, you don't want her to go into this courtroom and look at all these divorce proceedings and all these custody proceedings. Leave her out here. Leave her out here with me. And then he ends up taking her out somewhere because you trust them, man. It's the 70s were good. Everybody trusted everybody. You let your 14-year-old go with a 32-year-old guy at the time. And I won't go into the details of of how it transpired and what happened, but it's in the article in the Washington Post. These are the Christian values that people are still saying that they're going to vote for in the special election that's coming up in December. Never ceases to amaze me. And I know I'm vacillating back and forth between two things, right? The one thing that I'm want to comment on top of this is the continued allegations and proof that is coming out about all these men. Like, I have to put this as an aside because it's totally separate, even though it's the same. You know, it's, man, why I do not understand. I don't understand. That's just too much. It's too many examples. And then another women in the audience are like, no shit, Sherlock. Yeah, right. I totally get it. I have been privileged in my lifetime to not be around guys who are rapey. I mean, seriously. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I got a lot of friends. I got big circles, and I'm running, you know, and I'm not saying anything else but to say I've had the privilege of not being around a bunch of rapey sons of bitches, because apparently there's a lot of rapey motherfuckers out there, and manipulative, and have, you know, smile in your face, and all the time they're trying to get into your pants. You know what I mean? And this is the thing. What blows me away is, like, the crew that I ran with, the people I grew up with, the way we are even now. It's like, if a woman will let you know if she wants you, it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty, like, it's no question, right? There's really no. There's no area of gray in here. She either wants you or she doesn't. She doesn't want you. You move on. But apparently, for more men than people who are like me and my crew, there's more men on the other side of the equation. And this is the low level stuff. I'm not even talking about the people with money and power. Like many people with money and power, that's a whole different game. But down here on the low level of just commoners, you got guys who just can't take no for an answer. And I never understood that. I still don't understand that to this day, because you know what? Who said it? Where was I? It's like, I don't know. I can't really say these things. I can't really say what I want to say without getting vulgar. But it's like, dude, if you are hard up, no, okay, I can use somebody else's words. On Twitter, they were talking about Louis C.K. Louis C.K. could have hired a sex worker. He had enough money to hire a sex worker. You know, even down here in us commoner folks, you can hire a sex worker. There's no need for sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape. All those things it's like so unnecessary. You don't even have to hire a sex worker, because just take no for an answer and move on. I can't convey enough how difficult it is for me to understand that, except for the fact that it is happening so much that it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so you got the low-level folks, us commoner folks, who just apparently you just can't take no for an answer. So you got dudes out here killing women because they said no to you. You actually are killing. So I won't even excuse that away as saying that they're crazy, right? Because that's beyond crazy. That's like a level of sadism. That's toxic masculinity, you would say that's not like a normal phrase that I would say, but clearly, I mean, they say no to you and you get so mad that you're going to kill somebody. Like, dude, what's up with your ego? What part of your ego if they say no to you, why would you even say anything other than, all right, have a good one. I'll see you later. Go ahead and finish paying for that drink that I already offered you, right? I might as well pay for it now. Oh, you don't want to pay for it? Cool. All right. I'll have a good day. Because you know what? Truth of the matter is, she's not interested in you. Keep moving. There's going to be somebody else interested in you. It's just like, that's just kind of how the world works. I mean, we're not talking about guys out here who, I know it has absolutely nothing to do with their ability to get women. I do understand that fundamental fact. It comes down to their desire to control and to be in their hatred for rejection. I get all of that, but at the same time, it's like on our side of the equation I don't know how many. It might just be a handful. It might just be me and a couple of other guys that I know who aren't out here trying to rape people and hurt people because they said no. Because, I mean, the numbers are not looking good. I mean, the other day I found out some news and I'm like, holy shit, men are shit. I have to say it myself. Men are trash. It's like, seriously. The odds are not in your favor, women. The odds are not in your favor. And maybe it's not, I don't know. I don't have the statistics. I don't know exactly what the breakdown is. I'm sure there are not as many men out there. I pray to God, there's not as many men out there raping and sexually assaulting women and harassing women as there are men who could just take no for an answer and move the hell on. And this is a totally different story than maybe it's not. Maybe it actually is kind of the same problem, right? Men messing with younger women and like girls. It's a manipulation thing. What's wrong? I don't. Some greater mind, not even greater minds than me, but just people with experience with this. That's why you have to listen to the voices of women who can explain. I mean, did you see the number of women who said "Me Too"? Did you see this? And I'm in a way, ladies who are in my audience, in a way, I'm just talking to the guys. I know you're here, and I know you probably wrote "Me Too," right? And by all means, I still offer the platform to any group of women that want to discuss this on air, like I did last time. The offer is still there, but in a way, I'm just talking to the men. Like, fellas, did you see the number of women who said "Me Too"? Like, I had more women in my timeline saying "Me Too" than I didn't. All right, let's take this caller. Hang on, caller. I got to reach over here and get you live. Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question? Nick, what's on your mind? Please do. Yeah. Yep. For sure. Endangers them. it puts them in a low level in danger. Hang on, let me while you're there. I actually had a second to pull up the person who said it. This is Ray Sanity on Twitter. I want to see her. She's a writer for television, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is what she said on Twitter a few minutes or earlier this afternoon. She said, guys like Louis C.K. could just pay a sex worker, could even request a sex worker play like she's uncomfortable if she's okay with that. But they don't want that. The pleasure is in the actual discomfort of the victims, the power to overwhelm or make them just take it. It's horrendous, right? And that was the B-side of my comments, but it's important enough, Nick. I appreciate you calling in to highlight, to emphasize the B-side more than anything else. The B-side being that it isn't about just getting what they want. It's about causing, well, what they want actually is to cause this type of pain. And that's a sickness that leads to this type of assault. You got the floor. You got the floor. Interesting. Nick, hang on a second. Nick, I apologize. You're going to be very upset, but I want you to stay here. My audience said that they can't hear you, and that's too important. Hang on. So hold that thought. I'm going to place you on a quick hold, and then I'm going to bring you back in while I make sure that they can hear everything that you just said. Hold tight. 857-600-0518. We're going to figure out why you can't hear the caller. He had a great comment that's very important. He was speaking to the need for us to place emphasis on the how can I put it? Emphasis on the fact that they have an issue with power. It is a power dynamic for them. They want to hurt people. That's part of their sexual desire, is to cause pain. They can't get off. I mean, they're sociopaths. I mean, they get off on hurting people, and that is a dangerous thing, and that's a realistic thing. So no matter who they hire, right? It's not that they just have to have their sexuality, serviced. It's the fact that what they want is to hurt somebody. That's the thing. And that is a very, very a dangerous thing. I tell you what, Nick, let me drop the line with you because I can't quite figure out what's going on with your audio. I hear you fine. My monitor is registering you good, but the audience can't hear it. So we will figure that out. We'll probably take a break and figure that out. And then we'll get you back on the line because I want to make sure that they hear from your voice. But I think your sentiment is absolutely true. What I read from the caller from the Twitter account, actually she made that very clear, and it's important that we keep that clear. I want to go back to I don't know. I mean, where is there a correlation? Is there a correlation between how much money you make and how much power you obtain and how sick you get and how much you want to hurt people and you want to take this out? It's crazy. It literally is so far beyond my understanding, because actually, I don't know if it was because I recognize the voice and I recognize it on this conversation. I wonder if, oh my goodness, I'm so stupid. I am so dumb. I just figured out what the this is hilarious. This is hilarious. I know exactly what I did wrong. I'm answering the calls on the wrong damn computer. That would do it. All right, we'll try it again. 857-600. I finally figured out. I'm like, what am I? I'm looking at the wrong computer. So anyway, it's two different stories, but with a very consistent theme, which is a man with power hurting somebody. And the last time, I think it was Nick, this is what I was getting ready to say because I recognize his voice on the subject matter. It's a complete absence of empathy, the inability to have concern or have any emotion or regard to the well-being and the safety of the person that they are engaging with. And that is a dangerous person just by default. That is a dangerous person that will hurt a lot of people. And I was talking with my producer about this. This is where these type of people, who, when they get political power, this is why it's, you know, sometimes we sit back and we wonder, excuse me, sometimes we sit back and we wonder how people enact policies that are so hurtful to other people, and you wonder, are they really this type of are they really this type of psychotic person? And if you just look at the numbers of people, men, I can't say people, the number of men who are actually out in these streets to hurt women, to actually hurt them because they have zero empathy and they're just objects of their desire, but their desire actually contains or requires physical pain. If you think about the numbers, it's a good possibility that a lot of them are in Congress right now. And so it makes sense. If you have zero empathy and your sexual desire requires that you hurt somebody, it's not a leap to understand that you're the type of person that can really sit back and not have any regard for the people that you're taking food out of their mouths so that you can get a damn tax break. Two totally different instances. They're not the same, but I've always been blown away with I just can't understand how people can look you in the face and know that they are going to hurt you, and they do it with a smile. Sociopaths. We got sociopaths in power all around us. And it makes more sense now. Look at the scale and the scope of how many people are being exposed. Kevin Spacey, you know, he's getting kicked out of the movie, Ridley Scott's movie that's coming up. You know, I mean, maybe that's why it was so easy for him to play the sociopathic role on House of Cards. Man, human nature is crazy, dude. Men, I don't even know what this. This is what I want to say. I am putting out a plea to women in my audience and in my orbit. Anoa, I'll hit you up in text message and chats. Other women, at your own pace, not to come and educate us, not to teach us, but just to use our platform however the hell you want to use it, and to discuss that issue. Because I'm not up to the task. I'm up to the task to tell you about how screwed up men are. I can do that, right? I'm pretty good at doing that, because even though I don't have them in my circles, I can still look out of my circles and be like, yeah, you's a rapey little son of a bitch. I can diagnose that. We could talk about that, and we could talk to our brothers. We could talk to them and you know, check them. We have to do that. But man, it's nonstop. It's every day. And you know what? Good. I'm happy. There's not a single person whose name got called that I'm like, oh, I'm hurt about. Oh, nope. I don't care. No, you all get taken out with the trash. I'm waiting on them to get R. Kelly. Like, how's R. Kelly hadn't got? Why is R. Kelly still a thing? Why is R. Kelly still touring around the world, around the country at least? Why do people still listen to him? I'm trying to educate Spotify. Like, I pay for Spotify. It's only, you know, I'd rather Napster, but anyway, we've come a long way since Napster, so be it. I'll pay. But I'm hitting the down button every single time an R. Kelly song comes around. I'm hitting the down button, and they keep, next thing I know, here comes a new R. Kelly song. No, bitch, I don't want to hear R. Kelly. I skip and hit the down button. Then here comes R. Kelly. I'm like, how many times do I have to tell you I do not want to hear R. Kelly? And I love R. Kelly's music, but I don't ever want to send a penny, even 0.00001% of a penny, whatever the hell Spotify pays. I don't want to send anything to support him. Why is he still a thing? Bill Cosby, why is he still a thing? He's actually not. His day is come and gone. It's over. Didn't that fool try to do a tour after the fact? That was crazy. That was wild. He actually wanted to do a tour. 857-600. He wanted to do a tour and teach men about sexual assault. I'm like, what are you going to give him, a how-to guide, man? You know, that's ridiculous. All right, 857-600-0518. We're going to try to do it with, I think I have a solution here. Innovation right there, to weigh in on the conversation. But back to Roy Moore. Last couple thoughts on Roy Moore. We can't point out the hypocrisy because that doesn't faze them. You still have people saying that they're going to support him. I am encouraged by the number of Republicans who are saying that he needs to step down, which is like 3. I must say that I'm actually encouraged by the number of people who are telling him that he needs to step down. 541, you're live on the air. Let's try it this way, and then we're going to see if my audience can hear you. What's your name, comment, and or question?
Oh, you know it's me, Ben. It's Nick.
Oh, it's you. Okay, Nick, thanks for calling back. So let's go back over what you said, because I do want the audience. But before you say too much, let's see. Audience, give me a thumbs up in the chat room if you can hear Nick. Go ahead, Nick.
Testing.
All right. Let's try it again.
So, yeah, I just want to point out that, we do want. No, I'm not even going to start there. It is dangerous for us to assume that sex workers can take the brunt of sexual unfulfillment or, to be fair, sexual assault. Yeah. That we essentially don't want to pawn off onto the civilians, is the sex worker term. People who are just not sex workers, who don't have to see this side of people. And I think it's really dangerous for us to assume, again, that it's not just about sexual fulfillment, but it's about power, and it's about it's about inflicting pain and damage upon people in the context of sexual violence. Specifically also, again, self-plug, wrote an article for Progressive Army, Trans People Ableism, and the need to upgrade our progressive lexicon. Go read it. But especially in the context of this, there is a need for us as progressives to be able to not use certain groups as just deflection points for bad things that happen. And we say, well, there should be an outlet for us. There should be already an existing group of people or action that people can do. And I think that sex workers really need to come into that discussion about being valued not just as sex workers, which their labor should be absolutely valued as it is, but that they are also people and they also live lives beyond their sex work. And we don't often view that in that context. And I think it's important for us, as I said in the article, for trans people to be able to come in and not feel like they're just others that are also relevant to the conversation when it's relevant. And disabled people, they should be relevant, central to the conversation and to our actions, not just as deflectives for, all the bad stuff that happens in our day-to-day. Absolutely.
Thanks for calling back in. Definitely appreciate that contribution.
Go be a patron to Ben.
Yo, no, you don't have to say that when you call. Oh, it's a serious subject, but I do appreciate it, Nick, man. I do.
Yeah.
Go check out his article. Go out, check out his article on progressivearmy.com, 857-600-0518. Yeah, that's a really great point. I think, you know what, I can tie this in, and I think it's a necessary tie-in. The Christian church is a problem in the sense that it places all of its emphasis of morality on sexuality, to the point of repression of sexual desires, and that creates problems. I mean, look at the Catholic Church, right? It's not to say or buy into the trope that Nick was trying to advise against, which is all they need is to be able to have a outlet, but really sexual repression does create more problems, right? Sexual repression makes you do things that you probably would not do if you had just had healthy sexual relationships, and religion contributes to sexual repression in a way that you have to have been in religion heavily to believe it. I mean, the amount of guilt that goes into a young Christian kid who masturbates. I mean, seriously, hopefully the kids aren't around and it's just you and I listening, talking to each other right now. But the amount of guilt, people sit around and just feel like, oh God, I can't believe I just masturbated. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And then God forbid you have sex, and then you feel this guilt around having sex, and then you build up all of these taboos in your mind to where you're not able to have a healthy sexual relationship even when you get married. And a huge component of that is religion. And this is what Roy Moore is. That's what he's just a religious conservative, evangelical. In the most extreme sense. And that that's something that we as a civilized people, Christians and all, we have to absolutely move away from that. And this is to include what the caller was talking about in terms of sex workers, and the role that they play in the labor, that the way they choose to give their labor. That's, you know, it's very simply put, very sex positive, pro sex worker, to protect them, legalize it, protect them, because a sexually repressed society that evangelicals want is so damaging, and they are the evidence themselves. This is the thing that trips me out, right? It's difficult to talk about without, I don't really, you know, it's taboo, right? And most of the time we have these conversations, we have it with, you know, with language that is almost juvenile or insulting, right? It's, you know, it's very, you know, unless you have just all, it's not a conversation clearly that I'm well versed in having. But one thing I can tell you is that the people who are telling you to not have sex, the people who are telling you to be abstinent, can't even be abstinent themselves, right? Christians are some of the one of the largest groups that are getting abortions, right? And it creates a stigma and a problem that follows you all of your life, because you never learned how to have a healthy sexual relationship. And that in and of itself does cause, repression. It causes behaviors to manifest that would not manifest in many cases unless you were just a sexual deviant who wanted to cause pain in people's lives, like Louis C.K. apparently did, at least allegedly did, right? You know, we're always going to have to weed out the sociopaths from these conversations, because that's a reality, that's a grim reality that we're coming up on very publicly almost every day. The sociopathy of people who want to hurt, and they can't even, they can't even get off unless they are causing someone physical pain. And that's another thing, you know, the hole goes deep. The rabbit hole goes extremely deep. Like there's like mountains of porn that services men, that provides men with visuals of women being hurt, rape porn. I mean, it's out of control. And then, you know, if you're supporting sex workers, if you're pro sex workers, you have to be concerned about the women who are in these pieces that are being physically harmed for the pleasure of men who require seeing physical harm. Like, what the hell is wrong with us? Then, of course, you're going to have a Christian who comes around and say, well, they need Jesus. Okay, I get that, but I would believe that more. I would believe that was the answer more if Christians weren't all screwed up sexually all over the goddamn world. Like, I could believe that, and I'm saying this as a Christian, I would believe that more if this sociopathy wasn't as present in Christian circles as it is. I mean, what do you think most of these people are? Christianity is like the majority religion here in the United States. I mean, all these people coming out, I mean, they're probably coming out as being sexual predators. They probably are in someone's church every week. Right? So it's something more that's needed, because it's not even enough for religion, for people in religious circles. There's something more that's needed, and what's needed are one piece of the puzzle is confronting it head on with discussions and conversations, one-on-one in real life, even if it's via the radio, whatever it is in real life, letting people know that shit's just crazy. And you'll be surprised. You would be surprised. You know what's a powerful thing? Here's a powerful thing. Here's a powerful thing. Talking to one of your boys, and one of your boys saying, you got issues. That's a powerful thing, because men's sexuality is really tied in a lot of ways to what their friends think, to what their boys think. It's amazing, fascinating thing that probably you guys, most of you in the audience have probably read up on it in great detail. But having one of your friends hear what you're saying and tell you that you have problems, That's what we got. We have to, I mean, that's an element that I don't think is happening enough. It clearly is not happening enough. We've got to start doing it. We got to start calling people on it. We can't indulge as guys. We can't indulge in the conversations that include sexual harassment. So anyway. All right. Wow. The conversation in the chat room on YouTube is lit. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that I just will not comment on. 857-600-0548 if you want to weigh in on the conversation. What was the B-side? All right, let's shift gears. We spent a lot of time on that. We don't have much time left, but I want to shift gears to this Republican, this Democratic donor. This Democratic donor, man, I'm like, bruh. So this Democratic donor just gave the best case for why we absolutely should not have money in politics and why Democrats are never going to be the party of the people if we keep donors like this. I mean, listen, let me tell you something. I know I have no neck. I have a limited neck. Right. But I've never seen a dude with less neck than this Stephen what's his name? It's Stephen Klobart or something, some ridiculous name. This dude is on MSNBC, and shout out to MSNBC for forwarding this narrative without any pushback whatsoever. It's like this is exactly what you wanted to be said. It's fascinating. But he's on MSNBC and he's talking about how he told Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi that if they keep talking about billionaires and millionaires because that word hurts his feelings, he hates that he's going to pull his money out and he's going to leave the party. I'm like, well, bitch, leave the party. Bye. Go. What's stopping you? We don't want you here. Even if we're structurally in need of you here, I would rather Stephen Klubeck. I would rather the Democrats just take it on the chin and find a way, do Bernie Sanders model, but get people like this out of office. Take a listen into this fool as he discusses why why he wants to leave the Democratic Party. Here we go.
A lot of people want to be rich. So is it the right message that the Democrats are going with?
It's so effing wrong.
Whoa.
I've talked to Schumer.
Yeah.
I've talked to Wyden.
Okay.
I've talked to Pelosi.
And said what?
And I said, if you use the term
billionaire again,
I'm done.
Why?
Because it's aspirational. I didn't start with anything. Just penalize everyone that's done well.
Okay, and this is a Democratic donor, right? Who does he sound? He sounds like every talking point that you ever heard from a Republican when it comes down to why we should cut taxes for them because we shouldn't penalize people who are successful. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, I mean, listen, you do not get to call yourself a progressive or even the standard. We need to move the standard over from just the label of progressive. You should not be able to call yourself a Democrat if all you are is socially progressive, socially liberal. No. It has to be, you have to be economically liberal. And I get it. Actually, no, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to pause that. Here's the B-side of his conversation. Listen in.
We all want to do well. And we should be the party of doing well. We should be a party of business and leadership. And it is very, very disturbing when I hear the millionaire or billionaire word. And I've told them to stop it, knock it off. Because everyone wants to do really well.
Wait, you hear this fool? It is so disturbing. He's got a hell of a voice, I tell you that. It's a great voice. It's actually, hear it again so I can imitate it.
This is the world of...
there it is. It's disturbing. I'm like, you're really sad because somebody said the word billionaire or millionaire? You think that's hard? It's hard being called a billionaire? You know what's hard is being called by Sally Mae every goddamn day because you can't pay your student loans. That's what's hard. I will not be upset whatsoever if somebody looked at me and said, "Oh, you billionaire, oh, you got to pay your taxes." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, fine. I'll pay my taxes because you know what? I don't have anything else to worry about in the world." This dude, and this is a Democratic donor. Listen to the rest of this fool.
Aspirations.
Then are you worried that the Democratic Party is going too far to the left?
So much so, it drives me nuts.
So much
so, it would make me quit the party.
Well, quit the party then. Bye. And yeah, he's a huge donor. Like, this is some arrogance, man. Like, it's one thing to be a huge dick and to be a huge donor in the background saying these things, but now he's getting nervous. This is how you know progressives are winning. He's so nervous that he's come on national television to cry about the fact that Democrats are talking too much about income inequality. You know, that's progress. That's the donors are coming out of the dark. This is the exact reason we absolutely have to get money out of politics. Let's listen. I don't know if he has anything else meaningful to say. Let's listen.
And I've made it very clear, I'll cut your money off. And others will do the same.
We're tired of it.
We've had enough.
We've had enough.
Okay.
We need a new brand.
And I'm sorry, I don't know the name of this of the host on MSNBC, but she's garbage. Let me rephrase that because that's not nice. She's trash. I'm sorry. Hang on. Let me try it again. Third time I could probably do it nicer. She is intentionally setting up these loaded questions to let him knock them down because she is being paid to forward this conversation. She's being paid to forward the agenda of business people and corporate donors and billionaires. And so she's actually doing it. Actually, she's not, even in that role, she's not doing that job well. I mean, listen to how fake this is at the beginning. Listen.
Rich. So is it the right message that the Democrats are going with?
It's so effing wrong.
Whoa.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I didn't expect you to do that, even though we went over it in the pre-interview that everybody does. Whoa. I mean, she's not even selling it well. Like, come on. The questions are so... Okay, let me leave her alone. Because the real problem is that MSNBC, which is supposed to be the liberal wing of media in the United States, is putting this out in their daytime programming, which is just further confirmation that they are not a liberal outlet. I know after 8, they start, they do the Democratic Party version of liberalism and they run with the Russia narrative and everybody thinks that they're good because they run with that. But this right here that's on a computer screen that I'm pointing to that you can't see, but this right here is exactly why MSNBC is not going to ever do anything for the average person because they're doing. Why is he even on television? How is he a contributor, a political contributor? Why? He's rich? Literally, he is on television because he's rich. He is on television because he's rich. That's his contribution. All right, let's take a listen to this caller. Caller, you're live on the air.
Hi, Ben.
Who is this?
How are you?
I'm doing great.
It's Terry.
Hey.
Terry, 123. How are you?
I'm doing good. I saw you in the chat room cutting up over there. You guys are wilding in YouTube. What's on your mind?
I was gonna private message you today on Twitter because I am so eager to know. And you don't have to talk about it now. You can end on this or whatever about what you thought about all the wins last night. Or the night before, I should say.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, definitely. We did a whole episode. I covered it that night. It's actually.
Oh, I missed it.
You missed
Sorry,
it.
I was looking at the TV too much.
Yeah, no, you got to. Oh, come on, shame on you, Terry. Get your politics here. Forget about them. We had the results and everything, but it was great. I can tell you that much. It was great. All right, Terry, take care. 857-600-0518 if you want to weigh in the conversation. You guys are wilding in the chat room. I will tell you that much. But anyway, Ryan in the chat room said that it's a parody of itself. It is. What is this guy's contribution? What is this Stephen Kluback? Why is he on television to talk about anything? Because he's rich and he's mad at his party because his party is actually talking about now more than ever, right? Like Nancy Pelosi, I would give Nancy Pelosi this. Like, I've been catching her stuff a little bit more lately. I've seen it pop up in my timeline, and she's out here leading the charge against these tax breaks. Like, and I'm very curious as to what I'm probably like Nancy Pelosi. I heard on one thing she said, she's like, I don't really curse, but I guarantee you when he tried to call her out on MSNBC saying I called her up and told her to cut it out, I bet you she said, bitch, please. like, dude, what you're not going to do is tell you, some of them, maybe Chuck Schumer, maybe that's influential on Chuck Schumer. Right. But most people with a piece of a spine would react to this fool pretty much the way I did and just say, bitch, please move on. If you want to leave, leave. Take your money. Take your money. because it would be more of a statement. It would be more beneficial for the Democratic Party to make a statement on his behalf, on his accord, because of him, and say, we don't even want your money in this party anymore. They would get more money from like 100, 200, 300,000 people who would be motivated to give them money if they just openly reject this guy. But they're not. They're not going to openly reject him. They might say some cross words to him on the side. But the real problem here is, honestly, is MSNBC setting him up to do that, to giving him that platform. He's just a billionaire. That's it. You're not special because you're a billionaire. Dude, you are not special. Money does not make you intelligent. Money doesn't mean that you have more of a contribution to the society. Money just means that you had money to get more money. That's the only thing you need in America to get more money, is to have money. It's not the chicken or the egg conversation. It is an inheritance conversation. It is who can get corporate funding conversation. Who can get venture capitalists to fund their... That's the conversation. It's not chicken or the egg. It's about who has capital. Those who have capital can make more capital. That's the only thing that means to me when I see people with money. It's not that I don't think you're more talented. I don't think you're smarter. I think that you had money. You got money from somewhere to do your idea. I've seen people get tens of millions of dollars in their first round of funding to create an idea that they haven't even created yet. Like, I saw an entire company start and they didn't even have, like, they had $10 million to start and they didn't even have an idea of what it was going to be. Some people get enough money so that they honestly just can't fail. And then you have other people who just fail all the time, right? So clearly it's not a one-to-one correlation. But you have to have money to get money, and that's all this represents. That's this dude's only qualification for being on television, is that he had money, which means nothing to me. Doesn't mean that you work harder. Get the hell out of here. Millionaires and billionaires, you know the conversation, but I just gotta say it. They do not work harder than any of us. Bottom line, they are no more intelligent than any of us. Bottom line, only thing that they have more than the average person is money, because not a damn one of them can make money from nothing. When people say, I started from nothing, Donald Trump said he started from nothing. He got $1 million to start his first business from his dad. Not even talking about what he inherited after his father died. I started from nothing, which means he probably got $150,000 from somebody to start his first business, and then he got his first round of funding. They're not smarter. They don't work harder. They're not more deserving. They're not more qualified. They're not more educated. Take a look at Donald Trump. This fool got, maybe he has $3 billion. He doesn't have the $10 billion he said, but clearly he's not a hard worker. Clearly he's not intelligent. And yet these are the people that we're going to allow to dictate the terms of the Democratic Party or the policy of the Democratic Party. This big ass baby, no neck ass baby. All right. The other story is the Republicans that are abandoning Trump. They're abandoning Trump. They're scared. And that's pretty much all I'm going to say about that, because I just don't have any passion for that story right now, only because this billionaire has really got me tripping. That dude's tripping. Mind blown that he has the ego enough to get on television as though this is your domain. Your money, it's like a person. Some people don't realize your only value is your money. That's, the only thing that you have to contribute to society is the fact that you have money. You're not smart. You don't have anything intelligent to say. Your money did not make you smart, but then you feel like because you gave your money, you have the right to say something, and then you embarrass yourself and you say something on national TV that is like, no, dude, you should have stayed in your closet. You should have stayed back behind the scenes and try to manipulate things from behind the scenes, because once the public light is shining on you, the rest of the world can really see. I mean, really, how many of you have gone to work, gone into business with somebody who had money, and you realize the only damn thing they have to contribute to this conversation is the fact that they have money? That's it. They're not smart. They're not even hard workers. They just have money. Those type of people, all you want is their money. Just put up your money and get out the way. If you put up your money and get out of the way, then we can make something work. But if you put up your money and you try to insert yourself like this Stephen Kluback guy did, then you're going to ruin a good thing. All right, folks. Go to patreon.com/the BPD show. Become a patron. No show tomorrow night. Friday nights are off. I'm with my family on Friday nights. Tomorrow afternoon, though, you can catch us at 6 o'clock on Like It or Not, Content News. And have a great weekend. Anything big coming up this weekend? No, not that I know of. And that is this the right button? That's about that. See you tomorrow. What am I saying? See you on Monday.
The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.thebenjamindixonshow.com to register for our blog, join the Progressive Army, and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.
It's Ben Dixon!
If you like this episode, be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Consider becoming a Patreon. Go to www.patreon.com/the BPD show and support The Benjamin Dixon Show.